Hi everybody, hi every spirit, welcome very much to As Empires. Today we are going to react to a video, and it's a video about Age of Empires 2. And I already knew about this video, but I gained this will to react to this video because today I had this comment on one of my videos saying this is a trash unit of a game. Wow, AOE4 sucks. Bill Gates, Microsoft. The only good game ever made was AOE2. Most modern games should follow the concept, but they all try to go 3D and ruin everything. So, I do not agree or disagree with this comment. Why I'm telling you about this comment? Because it reminded me that this video, or it reminded me that I want to react to this video. And I want to see what is the actual situation of AOE2, right? And this video we are going to watch is about, it's from Hera. He also played the Age of Empires 4. He stopped playing Age of Empires 4. He went to AOE2, or he went back to AOE2. And I don't know if it will reflect the situation, but it's going to talk about some problems of AOE2. So let's listen to it. Let's see what Hera has to say about it. And thank you very much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. Let's go.
And welcome back to the video. Today it's going to be a pretty serious topic when it comes to AOE2 and the future of the game. And yeah, it's not like it's a doomsday video or anything like that, but it is something that should be addressed. And as always, whenever I bring out the negatives of AOE2, I'm going to try to offer what I believe to be the solutions and kind of create a very positive atmosphere surrounding these issues, because at the end of the day, I really want this game to succeed and I want to play as big a role as I can in that as well. And of course, feel free to jump into the discussion in the comments below and pitch all the ideas, and hopefully this could be a good way to help shape the game in the next few years. Let me start out saying that Age of Empires 2 has...
So, let's be honest, in my opinion, the game looks very good. The game looks great, and it looks more active, right? It looks more active than AOE4. AOE4 seems a bit slower, but this is also late stage of the game.
Problems currently. However, these problems are not an immediate threat. They are more or less a threat in like 4 or 5 years time, and it's a threat for the future. I'll also say that I don't think
okay, so it's about the future, not the game in itself, but about the future, the community, how people interact with the game. All right.
AOE2 will ever die out, or it won't die out suddenly, because the fan base and the core fan base is way too strong. However, I do believe that competitive AOE2 could slowly decline over time, and that is what I consider to be the major issue right now and the major danger to the game. And the problem with the competitive scene dying is that over time, if the competitive scene dies, the actual game will slowly decline as well, because I think the competitive scene acts as like a year-round marketing for AOE2.
That's true, and that's not just for AOE2, that's for a lot of games. The competitive scene makes people come back, makes new people come in, makes people that are still playing, but now they are more dedicated, they play more, they are more motivated, because everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people want to play on higher levels. They want to intensify their experience of the game, right? And that's for many, many games, I believe, and infinitely for AOE2.
Tons of big tournaments that bring in tens of thousands of viewers, some of those being new viewers that enter the scene. There's tons of videos being made every single day by like some
through casting tournaments. Oh, this guy made this play, that guy made that other play, he went with this build. It's the competitive, like, and I don't know if you guys remember, most people, like, it was some time ago, Beastie was saying that the developers of AOE4 should balance the game for competitive, and many people are like, no, it needs to be for the Joe and Mo, it needs to be for the casual player. And most people were criticizing AOE4 because it doesn't have good campaigns and the casual players don't have enough. But bro, the casual players do not maintain the game alive. What maintains the game alive or thriving is the competitive scene, is the tournaments, is the pro players. That's true, that's a fact.
Myself, like the Viper, like the T90, and these bring in a ton of people over time into the scene as well. I think T90 especially did a great job of bringing in, new fan bases and new players over the past 4 or 5 years. But of course, I just named a few. Everyone who's making content is playing a really big role in bringing people into the game, and the same can be said from the South American, Spanish-speaking community like Nacho, Mario Basho, etc. And yeah, this is obviously a huge positive for the scene. Not only that, but having competitive AOE alive makes it so people aren't just playing a single player game, they actually find communities, they can...
Great point, it's about the community. right? Instead of you playing just a campaign, instead of you just playing with yourself or your friend locally, you find a community, forums, Discord servers, um, amateur tournaments, not top tier tournaments like we have right now for AOE4 Rising Empires, for an example. Low Yellow Legends weeklies, right? Shout out to them, great organization. And if imagine that didn't exist, many people would stop playing AOE4 for sure.
Bond and create friendships, they can join groups, and they can feel a bigger sense of belonging to the game and not just it being
Keyword, the bigger sense of belonging. Very smart.
a game that you play, and as soon as you close the game, it's no longer a part of your life. I think these stronger bonds help keep people interested, and honestly, it helps them in their life as well. A lot of people, especially these days after the COVID pandemic, it could be hard to create those friendships, and having that online community sense
This was from last year's event, right? From the Red Bull Lolo Legacy, yeah.
could help these people in their personal lives as well, creating these bonds, creating these friendships, making their life a lot more interesting. And so I think a competitive AOE2 helps with all of that. Now let's take a look at Age of Empires 2 in general, not just the competitive scene. Let's take a look at everything from not a statistical point of view, but just like a logical point of view here. Again, very little statistics in this video, but more or less just like logic and kind of conclusions from what's been happening so far. So the positives of what AOE2 has right now over other games is that AOE2 has a very dedicated fan base. The people who play AOE2 are unlike players who play other games. The people who play AOE2 love the game. Like, they have been playing for years.
That's true. And it happens to AOE4 too, but I think it was smaller level because the game came out not good, right? The developers always took a lot of time to bring changes and fix stuff. So most people were hurt because they loved the game, but then the game didn't love them back, if you know what I'm saying. But I think slowly but surely a lot of people are forgiving AOE4, if you know what I'm saying, and realizing that they really like the game. And the game is really good, and it has a lot of potential still, and we have a great community as well.
They will play for many years to come, and it's a big part of their lives. They are not just playing the game here and there and then just ditching it. These people are buying every DLC that comes out pretty much. These people are willing to support the game for whatever is needed. They've bought multiple editions of the game, that kind of stuff. It's a very dedicated consumer base, and that's a very big positive because that means that the core player base won't really shake regardless what happens with the game. They're always going to be here, always going to be playing. And the reason for this is probably just because it's a game that's been out for a long time. It has a ton of content, like so many campaigns, 43 civs including the Romans, and the amount of things you can do within the game, I think that keeps people hooked over a long period of time. And that is a huge plus. The second positive for the game is the nostalgia factor. And this is huge. This is the reason why we've been able to market the game as like this game that's 20 years old, 25 years old, but is still playable, is still alive. And it brings people back. I get tons of messages on my stream. Yo, I used to play this 20 years ago. I can't believe it's still alive. Messages along those lines. And that is, again, another huge positive for AOE2 because it means that just by having content out there, people will be returning to the game, and they're going to be returning with a very strong sense of nostalgia.
That happens with Pokemon a little bit too. Like, people still know that Pokemon is alive, right? But a lot of people like, oh, I didn't play Black and White, I didn't play Pokemon X, and then they come back to the new Pokemon or to Pokemon Unite or to Pokemon Go because they watch the show as kids, whatever. Nostalgia is a very good marketing tool, yeah.
Which usually creates a pretty big bond once again between the people and the game, and this is how you create more and more dedicated fans. And when I was talking about marketing towards this, I mean, like, have you guys seen like the Xbox release and the things they were saying in that? I made a video about it and I still remember it to this day. They kept mentioning how it's this old game that's been done again, that's new. They kept mentioning how it's AOE2 is shiny again. AOE2 is the new thing, like it's back, it's that kind of stuff. They kept mentioning how it's an older game that is now getting new things. And so we are playing heavily into this nostalgia factor, which I think is a positive and a negative. I'll mention the negative later, but for now, the positive is that it creates very dedicated fans over time, people that come back and play the game. The third positive on my list is that the competitive scene currently has a pretty good system, very active tourneys, high high prize pool, keeps the players engaged, and has a good amount of viewership as well. Like the viewership for these tournaments is at pretty much an all-time high, or at least a high in recent times. Maybe when Red Bull was kicking in, they had really high viewership, but still the viewership right now is at a pretty solid point. So these are the three positives that I've mentioned. And like I said, I think these three have been keeping the game alive and will continue to keep the game alive for a while. But the problem is, I don't think that these three positives or main points are enough to keep the game growing over the next 4 or 5 years. And this brings me into a few problems that the game has that I think is holding it back.
All right, the problems. Let's see.
So the first problem I have list, I have 4 issues that I think are like major problems, and I also gave 4 solutions for them as well, or at least the direction I think that the game should go. Keep in mind, this is just my opinion. I have to keep stressing that because it's not like I have all the answers. It's just what I think would work best. So the main problem I think is for the mid-level player base. Now this is anyone from
For the mid-player level base, that makes sense. Yeah, I think we are already experiencing it on AOE4, right? But that's also because AOE4 it's not beginner friendly. It doesn't have great tutorials. They don't teach you how to maintain your economy, what's more efficient, what's not efficient, or how to play against a certain sieve, or how to play against a certain build. And I think that the game could introduce better new players, but let's see what is his point.
1,000 ELO to 2,400. This is anyone who plays the game every single day on ranked, whether it's team game, 1v1, or lobbies, but doesn't make money off the game. That's a very big part of the player base. However, it's a pretty small percentage in comparison to the people who play single player. I don't have the numbers, but I always hear how the single player base is the most in numbers. However, the mid-level player base, the people who play online and they play it consistently, those guys, they're smaller in number, but in my opinion, they're really crucial because they're returning and they're very active.
Yeah. I agree. They're very active. They watch videos. They watch the tournaments. They watch or make guides too, stuff like that.
Players, so returning players and active players, it's crucial for like the success of a game. That's the bread and butter of what the game is. So the problems this group of people are facing is that they have very repetitive games right now on both 1v1 and team game ranked system. The reason for this is the ranked map pool being absolutely horrendous. Like it's terrible how it works.
The map pool is not good, okay.
Also, a small part of it is people picking civs and blocking, so forcing you to play the same few civs over and over again. And then combining that with the pretty stale meta in team games creates a pretty degenerate system that could get boring for a lot of people.
Alright, I used to complain a lot about people always speaking English in HRE. That was a problem for me a few months ago, but right now, like most of my games are still against English and still against HRE, but not as much. But it was a very big problem like 2 months ago, maybe a bit more. Imagine I had like 50 games against English and I would have like 8 games against the Basit, for an example, right? It's just for you to understand how much I would play against English and how little I would play against other civs, and that would make me like play in the specific way that is better to play against English. And that's okay if it's not 50 matches out of 100, for an example, right? I understand this point.
Now, a lot of people do enjoy that, but a lot of people get bored of that and quit because of this. And so I think the solution for this is to change the way the map pool system is working. That's number one. And the way to do that is just to include more maps. We have so many maps for tournaments, so many new maps are being made and are just getting completely neglected. On the rank ladder, all you see is Arabia, Arena, Mega Random, Hideout, Black Forest, Four Lakes, Islands, Team Islands. Like that's 90% of the map pools I just summed out in 10 maps. Same thing for team game. It's African Clearing, it's Mega Random, it's Black Forest, it's Arena, it's Arabia. It's always the same 4 or 5 maps that see like 90% of play for 1v1 and team game. And if you combine that with the fact that people are blocking civs, especially on team game most of the time, you're only playing like 1% of what Age of Empires 2 actually is. The top level guys are...
That's very important because that was happening to me as well. Like AOE4 has 10 civs and I was mostly playing against 2 civs. So my experience was only 20% of the overall experience that the game has to offer.
Playing a little bit more, we're playing like, yes, maybe it's mainly Arabia 1v1s, but at least we're playing random civ, which creates a bunch of different scenarios. So that's a little bit better for us right now at the top level. For the mid-level players, it's heavily impacted by poor map system and the repetitive civilizations and the repetitive meta that they're facing. And the reason why I put so much emphasis on this group of players, these core active mid-level players, is because where do you think the new pro players will come out from when all the pros that are currently
Great point. Where the new pro players came out is people like me. People like try to be conqueror, but in AOE4, like you make the mirroring. And if my experience on the ladder, on the small tournaments, on the Discord servers is not good, I will quit the game and not be a new pro player. If I don't like to play the game every day at a consistent level, if that experience is bad, I will not continue. And I'm using myself as an example, right? So his point is completely on point.
playing get older and can't compete, who is going to take over? It can't.
Yeah, when the actual pro players get older or tired of the game, if there is not a good experience in the mid level, there will not be new or as much new pro players.
Can't just be the same guys playing forever. You need new pros to come in, shake things up, create excitement, compete with the older guys as well. And there have been a few pros that came over the last 3-4 years, and that's great. But I think the amount of new pros coming to the scene right now could be a lot higher. And I think that it could be a lot higher if you fix the issues that these mid-level players are facing on the rank ladder currently. All right, the second issue I see is that it's very hard for new players to find success in ranked because of how developed the metas and the builds are. It's a very high barrier to entry in the ranked side of Age of Empires. I honestly believe that for new players playing single player, it's very accessible, very easy to get into. Campaigns are great. You just get in there, you play, there's a ton of content, ton of civs. You can play for hours and hours and hours and still have a ton of fun. But when you make that switch to ranked, it can be very discouraging if you jump in, you lose your first games easily, you don't know how even strong you are, you see the rating dropping, and it's quite logical to just quit after that and just play something that's more enjoyable, like the single player that you've been playing, which is fine. If you enjoy single player, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, I mentioned earlier how the mid-level players, the people playing ranked day in, day out, those are the guys that are the most dedicated. Those are the guys that will be watching the tournaments and will make the future pros and will keep the scene alive, the competitive scene alive, that is. And so I do think that a big problem for newer players is being able to transition from the single player into ranked, and only the people who are watching videos, mostly mine, have a chance to do this because I provide builds and I provide a lot of guides. But again, it's kind of a problem because by me providing the guides and the builds, it makes it harder for people who don't have those guides to get in there. And so this is definitely an issue that needs to be dealt with. And
Actually, it's a problem, but I enjoy not watching the videos. I enjoy finding the build by myself, right? But I know it can be painful and very boring because you have to lose a lot, or even if you win, it's like super messy, super hard games because you don't have the most efficient build and you don't know how to respond to the build of your opponent, right? But I like to enjoy, or I enjoy to do that by myself, do the adjustments by myself without watching videos, listening to my Twitch chat for an example. That's very nice. But most people will use the guides, and then, like he said, it can be a problem too.
proposed solution is to make the friend and community system within Age of Empires 2 much better. So hear me out. If you cannot get into ranked by yourself and you cannot play, the next thing that could get you involved in the multiplayer side of things is to connect with people, to make friends, to build smaller communities. And this helps you, A, get better. They can talk to you, they can give you tips, they can recommend you videos and guides, they can explain certain things to you, answer your questions in a healthy manner because you're talking with them. It also creates bonds so that you don't just log on to play, you log on to chill with your friends, making the game a lot more than just a game, which is a very big thing for people that are looking to have fun. And you also make it so even if they never get into competitive AOE2, they never grind rank, they never play day in, day out on the ladder, at least they're people who have found smaller communities that they can share campaigns with, and they can still get that sense of connection through this game. And this will definitely keep people playing the game for longer, just naturally. If you're playing a game, you finish all the campaigns, you might just call it a day. But if you have friends in, there's always that next thing to do. There's always that you come online, you start chatting a bit, and something comes from that. It keeps things fresh and it keeps things interesting. And the friend system right now, guys, is absolutely horrendous. Like, you add friends through Steam, you have no way to message your friends in game, so you have to message them through Steam. You cannot even invite them properly because the lobby system is so abysmal. Even if you successfully go through all that, you've went through...
Bro, I didn't knew that. Fix that ASAP, bro. Are you kidding? AOE2 developing team. Are you joking? Bro, this is a game that's about connection, right? You literally play on ranked. You play against other people. It is very important to have a good friend system, right?
Discords to meet people, you start messaging them on Steam, you invite them to the lobby. After every game, you play a game of 4v4, you get out, you have to re-invite people again. So all of a sudden, you're doing the action of inviting people, talking with them, and meeting them through third-party applications. Why can't we do this all in-game? There's zero reason why we can't have a friend chat in-game, a proper working lobby system, a way to easily, after a game, add your opponent as a friend and start chatting with them in-game and just meet people by playing. Like, there's no reason why we can't have that set up. Forget about DLCs. That should be the focus for the developers. They need to be, first of all, I talked about this as well, completely changing how the lobby system works and maybe even add a ranked system to the lobbies, or a ranked game mode in the lobbies so you can play ranked on lobbies, or just make lobbies work properly so that you can actually meet people and talk with people easily through the game. The game should be the portal and it shouldn't be third-party applications like Discords and Steam.
Great point. The game should be the portal and not third-person animation.
Discords and Steam are
applications, not third-person applications.
Good to create like groups and stuff like that, like a group chat, but meeting people should be done through the game because that's the only way to guarantee that you're gonna find people that are the same as you. If you're playing 4v4s, you play against people that are playing 4v4s, you get to meet them through the game and you find people that enjoy the same thing. That's how easily connections are made. All right, the third issue that I see is that we don't have a single organized or centralized tournament organizer. It's a bunch of different streamers that each have several events throughout the year. This isn't a bad thing in of itself. I like a centralized league for sure. That would be ideal, but we don't have that, and I don't think we're gonna get one. It's just too hard to make everyone profit the same if you do that. So some will benefit more than others, and it might get nasty if you try to randomly implement that. I'm cool with different people organizing it. I think that's a pretty healthy way to have a community, but I think it's hard for new players to understand that system when they're coming into competitive AOE2. So you'll find one tournament hosted by Red Bull, for example. You start watching, that's cool. Next tournament hosted by Memb, and you don't know about it because you watched a Red Bull tournament. Like the next tournament hosted after that wasn't a Red Bull, it was a completely different channel, and it's hard to make that transition. And I get a ton of messages about that on Twitch chat that people just don't know who's hosting the tournament. They always ask me, what's coming up? What's next? They have no idea. We have no tournament calendar, no
That's true, but it's still better than what we have on AOE4. Only one person organizing tournaments or one organization. I mean, in one way it's very good because if you were looking for a tournament, you just go to EGC TV Twitch, you just go to EGC TV YouTube. So I think it's better than a bunch of people organizing tournaments and nobody know what's happening. But the best will be to have both, right? To have one that has a lot of tournaments, but also other people creating tournaments. And right now we have EGC TV, and then Drone organizes his Outback Octagon. We recently had Africa TV with the team tournament. I think it's okay though. I think it's okay for AOE4. I think it's okay.
Centralized league, no prediction of what's coming next, or no like announcements of what's coming next. And the only way that people find out about them is through stuff like Wikipedia, stuff like Reddit, stuff like Twitters and Discords. And the people who are in those medias are the people who are already part of the AOE2 community.
True. The people that are in the Discords and Twitters and whatnot, they're already a part of the community, not new people coming in. Great point.
They are not new viewers. And so my solution for this is to make it so the host channel before every tournament or during every tournament is linked in the main page, in the main menu of AOE2 in a very...
Yeah, that happened on AOE4 with the EGC TV tournament, the most recent, which was the Elite Classic. It should have a link for sure, but at least it was there. You open the game and there is, oh, tournament at this day, at this time. Perfect. Right? That was very good, actually.
In your face manner, but not like annoying manner. So like as soon as you log into the game, you have a link and an announcement. Battle of Africa or KOTD5 hosted by Memb, link to his channel there. You go there and oh, look at that. Memb is live. He's casting KOTD. Let me watch for a bit. This is Age of Empires. This is the game I logged in to play. And I see the highest level of AOE2 being played right now, casted by a very qualified caster with great overlays, and the whole production looks fantastic. You see the chat going crazy. That is how easy it is to get sucked into the competitive AOE2.
Great point. That's how easy it is to get sucked into the competitive scene, yeah. You see somebody's live, they have great quality and whatnot, they're doing something nice. Yeah, I agree.
side of things. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this point in particular is that I was once that person. I searched up how to beat a campaign into China, the Genghis Khan campaign. I found a Zero Empires tutorial of it on YouTube. I clicked this channel, I saw him casting high level AOE2, realized the game is still alive, and started learning from guys like Chris and Viper right then and there 10 years ago. That is how easy it is to get some
10 years ago, guys. 10 years. This guy's been playing this game for 10 years.
someone who is playing it for fun into the competitive scene. And in my case, I turned out to be a pro player years later. And I don't think that you need to get everyone that clicks these links to be pro players, but if you can get them involved into the competitive scene as consistent viewers or players themselves in that mid player or like consistent player base, mid-level player base that I talked about earlier, that is very valuable to the growth of the game long term. And that is definitely something that should be a priority. Additionally, if you want to help the players and not just the tournament hosts out, you can also link the streams of the top 100 players on the leaderboard. So if you see the leaderboard, you see the name, you see the elo. If you just put a section that links their stream, just a Twitch icon that links their stream, that is massive. It's new people that see you at the top. They're like, oh, who's this guy? You click the link and bam, you're one link away from finding someone's channel and potentially getting hooked, because then you see top level AOE2. It's interesting. It's the same game you came on to play, and it's such a natural integration of someone who plays for fun turned into someone who plays still for fun, but is introduced now to the competitive scene. And so I honestly believe if you do these two things, so you link the host channel, you link the player's channel in the top 100 list, that is a great way for us to grow the scene and to get new players involved in every single tournament and not just them finding it through those tournaments, because as I mentioned earlier, if they find it through Red Bull, they only know Red Bull. They don't know the rest. This way, they'll know about everything that's going on, or at least every S tier. It also incentivizes people to get to the top 100, because if you're in the top 100, you can have your link posted in that section. And that is huge for up and coming streamers who want to put their name out there. Getting to the top 100, linking your stream in the ranked menu, that's a pretty massive way to get some attention to your name. And
Bro, by the way, shout out to AOE4 World and all the people behind that website. Perfect, bro. You have the rank ladder, you have the social media pages, even me, bro. They have my Twitch over there. People, I had people that came into the stream because they saw me on AOE4 World. Shout out to them.
last thing I'll talk about here, the fourth problem I see, is that because we've been marketing with the nostalgia factor and the fact that AOE2
old players, right? You're not bringing new. Let me try to predict. Because you have been marketing with nostalgia, you're not actually bringing new players. You are bringing comeback players, and that will result in old players. Let's see if I was right.
is back, 25-year-old game going strong. The downside of this is that we have an older player base. We don't have a lot of young
I was right.
people. It's a lot of like 25 to 34. That's, at least from my metrics, the vast majority of my viewers. And honestly, I think that's a good thing, because like having an older player base keeps the community from being toxic and degenerate. Most older people are a lot more composed, and me myself coming in as a young guy into the scene, I got whipped into maturity right away. Like right away, the toxicity, the constant like provocations in chats, all the things that you find in like League and other games just doesn't fly in AOE2, and that's a good thing.
That's true. Even on AOE4 you see it a little bit, but it's not much. Like the community is not toxic. I think the community is sometimes a bit not spicy, not salty enough, right? But I like that. I think the community is very healthy. It's not toxic, and I think it could be a bit more open. People could interact a bit more with each other, but it's all right now, the community on AOE4.
It keeps the community healthy. Yes, there's still some toxicity here and there, still some passive aggressiveness, but it's not degenerate. Like the AOE2 community is rather healthy in that department, and that's a great thing. But of course, the downside of an older player base is that it doesn't refresh itself as well as a younger player base. If you come into the game when you're 13, you play for 10 years, you're 23, you still have another 10 years easily within the game before you move on to real life. That's like the average viewer. So if the guys come in at 13, they'll probably stay with the game for years to come. If they come in at 35, maybe life gets too busy for them within 2-3 years and they can't invest the same amount of time into the game. And so attracting a younger player base is very key. Like that's just, it's quite intuitive why it's a good thing.
Bro, that keep looks awesome. Hold on.
Very key. Like that.
Bro, that keep looks awesome, man. That looks great.
it's quite intuitive why it's a good thing. It's quite obvious that it would be a good thing, but of course it is harder to do that. So the solution I proposed is one that's rather ambitious, but I do think it has merit. So my proposition is, instead of releasing more DLCs, let's first fix all the problems I mentioned earlier and any other problem that other people can come up with. Remember, I'm just one guy. So fix all these issues, make the game more, fix all the bugs first of all. I didn't even talk about bugs because we've been talking about them too much, but fix all the bugs, make the game easier to find people through, fix the map system, fix the ranked, fix the lobbies, fix everything, and then release the game as a new game. I know we've had
Release a game as a new game, fresh start.
then we have Definitive Edition. What else can we possibly release? If you just release a final version, call it AOE2 final version, call it AOE5. Anything that makes it so it's a brand new game, that could be
AOE5, smart guy.
the way to get new players involved. The reason I say this is because Twitter for AOE2, or sorry, the Age of Empires Twitter in general, not just AOE2, has like 100k followers. The YouTube channel has almost 100k, I think it's 70k or something like that, subscribers. And so these are pretty big socials. The Discord is massive. They have like 60k people in Discord as well. And so Age of Empires 2 has a big reach right now, or Age of Empires in general, the brand. If you release a new game, everyone will talk about that new game. That's how AOE4 became pretty successful despite glaring issues that it had. What happened?
True, bro, true. AOE4 was popping, bro. But it was born dead. AOE4 was born dead, bro. But we kept strong, and the game, slowly but surely, is meeting up the potential, is meeting up the expectations. Almost 2 years later. Sheesh.
AOE4 was amazing at launch, so successful, and it went downhill because the game was just not very finished. If you take a recipe like AOE2, it's proven to be good. It's proven to have lasted the test of time. If you just re-release it, fixing all of these issues, it's almost guaranteed to be a success. And if you fix all the issues that maybe might make people stop playing after a while, then you have a game that will be released again. People will buy it because you have a dedicated fan base. Just don't make it too expensive. New people will hear about it because you have these massive socials at your disposal. And it could just be a way to get a full reset on the game, pretty much. And it is an ambitious idea, for sure. There's obviously a lot of things I'm not considering. I don't even know if this is viable or not. I'm not the guy in charge of making these decisions. But I do think that doing that is the best way to guarantee AOE2 will succeed the test of time, or last the test of time for the next 5-10 years. Guaranteed. It's lasted 25 years. It's still going strong. If you just fix all these issues that could cause some problems in 5 years' time, get ahead of the issues, fix them now, release the new game.
Yeah, get ahead of the issues, fix them now. True shit.
And you're good to go. And like I said, you just release AOE2 again. Don't try to make a new game. Just release the same game, fix everything, maybe upgrade the graphics or whatnot. And that, I think, is the way to make AOE2 last as long as you want. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Really long video. I talked about a lot of things. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I might make a follow-up to this video if it gets a lot of traction and if people start bringing in ideas to the table, just to kind of, talk about it again, because I do think it's a really important topic to talk about. I don't want to sit around idle, see the same problems day in, day out, no solutions get presented, and in 5 years the game's on a downhill trend, and like, oh, we saw it coming, we just didn't do anything. So I really want to be a part of getting ahead of the curve, fixing the issues that are so obvious in front of our eyes, and just create a healthier environment for everyone, and hopefully grow the game for the future. And that's honestly what I want the most when it comes to AOE2, Age of Empires in general. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Alright guys, very good video. I like his ideas. I like his propositions. Let's read some of the comments. Is this the top comment? Yeah. I can agree with most of the video, but re-releasing the game is not the way to go. Game's longevity can also make it more popular. It happened with AOE 2. It happened with Team Fortress 2. Games that never faded out. And eventually that made people curious as for why. That's actually a good point. And such their communities grow even larger. Re-releasing AOE 2 again would only net a bigger downfall when the community is once again divided and the hype dies out. RIP AOE 4. I think if you really release AOE 2, it will not be divided, right? Because it's not a different game. It's the same game but better. AOE 4 is completely different. Not completely, but it's a lot different than AOE 2. So it makes sense that people separate. But if you re-release AOE 2, it will not be that division because it's not different. It's the same game but just better. So that comment doesn't make sense. I've heard you and Viper say very clearly in videos like this now, English, enough with the DLC and new content, fix the game first, get it to 110% of the game it ought to be, and then add more stuff. I completely wholeheartedly agree. The game has some pretty clear issues. It's not like the devs have to perform expensive and time-consuming market research and conduct intricate polling or outreach measures to determine what is that people want from their game. They could spend a day or two on the internet and come up with a list of things that need fixing. It's all there. In the forums, in community posts, in social media, in your videos, in Viper's videos. People are very open and clear about what they want from the game at this point. Tackle those challenges first, please, devs. It doesn't make money to address these issues, I get it, but it prevents people from raging or sagging. That's sagging, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it correctly, and moving on to another game. It will also just set up the game for success later on. Every new patch introduces bugs and issues. It's not even a meme anymore. It's just the way the development cycle is with this game. It's insane. These problems need to be addressed. A request that I would like added, if you are listening devs, ranked rematch feature. I'm not going to use rematch feature to start a ranked lobby game. The devs decided to make it unranked because abuse of the feature could lead to yellow manipulation. Easy fix to that problem, limit the use to one rematch against the same player with the feature per 24 hours. I mean, good comment. And I agree, I never played AOE2, I don't watch AOE2, I don't know, but if it has problems, instead of making new content, just fix it. I think the Sims have this problem too. They bring new packs and it fucks everything up. It's just fix it and then bring new content. A great video by Era. A lot of... I think this can reflect a little bit to AOE4, right? And we can compare it to AOE4. And I really enjoyed the video. Good points. Very importantly, be ahead of the problems. Resolve the problems before they become too much, right? And I think a great mirror between AOE2 and AOE4 is the new player or the mid-level player experience could be better, I think, in AOE4 too. And I think that AOE4 could make better like tutorials or introductions to the game, because I think they have the same problem, which is bringing in and keeping new players. I think both of the games have troubles in keeping the players in, even in attracting, but that's not the problem. The problem is then if you attract a lot of players but you don't keep them in the game, it's basically the same thing as not attracting them. Actually, they will be bad reputation, they will be bad image, they will talk, bro, I was attracted to that game but it was shit. And if you don't attract them at all, they will not talk shit about the game. But if you attract them and then the experience is bad, they will talk shit. Right? So guys, thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about the current situation of AOE2. And let me know what you think about the current situation of AOE4 as well. Till the next time, this is the Cloud Surfer, surfing out.